Hello everyone, welcome back to GEC channel. I'm Lawrence and here with me is Shioma from GEC Living, which is the largest off-campus student housing provider in Vancouver, Canada. We know that finding a good and affordable housing can be a challenging task, especially for international or domestic students. With the prevalence of scams outside the market, that's why we have created this video just for you. We have invited the rental industry expert, Paula from liv.rent, and she will share some valuable insights on the current market status, rental process, how to avoid scams, and a few popular neighborhood and rental platform for students. To make it easier for you, we have included timestamps on each topic, so you can just jump to a topic that you're interested in. Don't forget to like our videos if you find it is helpful, and also feel free to share your questions and thoughts on our comment section below. So let's dive into the videos now.
Hi, welcome. My name is Choma, and with me here is Lawrence. We're going to be talking to you about GEC and the live rent, about renting tips for students in Vancouver. So hi Paula, how's it going? Can you tell me about yourself, your industry?
Yes, absolutely. Hi, it's a pleasure to be here. I'm Paula Azevedo, and I'm the National Business Development and Client Success Manager at liv.rent. We are basically an all-in-one platform aimed at making renting safer and easier for Canadians. I've been working in the industry for the past 5 years with liv.rent, helping renters and landlords get the most out of our features and benefits.
Well, as you know, this podcast or this video itself is just to talk more about more content around renting tips for students in Vancouver and the reason why live rent exists, and just in general get to know you and the industry and how this can help international and domestic students.
Yeah, excellent.
So how many renters would you think that are in Vancouver or have been here for a while now?
Great question. We actually did some research on this, and looking at just the city of Vancouver alone, there's approximately 166,000 renters. This makes up around 25% of the total population in city of Vancouver. But when looking at British Columbia as a whole, this number jumps to 669,450, which is about 49% of the population, according to Statistics Canada 2022 census.
That's a lot of people. I once saw this video that said that it's cheaper to rent than to buy a house. So maybe that's one of the reasons why there are a lot of renters in Vancouver.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Affording houses, even if you're renting, either renting or buying, both options are, I would probably say, quite expensive right now. But renting is still a little bit cheaper, and people can still find affordable units out there, especially when it comes to shared accommodations. Yeah.
So you would say that it's been increasing over the years, right? Because rent isn't getting any better and buying a house isn't getting any cheaper.
Exactly. Yeah. So, and there's also immigration in this. So, to give an idea, Canada has welcomed 411,000 new immigrants in 2022, and will welcome over 440,000 in 2023. So, these people will for sure, for the most part, be looking for rental housing once they land, and this drives demand up and in turn decreases the available supply for sure substantially. Demand for rental housing is increasing quickly, especially in cities like Surrey and Burnaby, due to new developments and higher inventory in those cities. All of rent, we see that most students are coming from the various Canadian provinces, including Toronto, Alberta, Calgary, and also coming from the U.S., Hong Kong, India, China, the U.K., Mexico, and the Philippines.
Oh, that's a very diverse portfolio. You can't really say one person or one country is for Vancouver. So what percentage of these people are students?
Well, another good question. So we saw a report from Utah, which is a social economy enterprise that specializes in student housing across Quebec, but they've done some research across the country. And back in 2022, that showed that specific to Vancouver, there is approximately 194,000 post-secondary students in town, and about 62.2% of those were renters. So for UBC, for example, we're talking about almost 60,000 Vancouver students. SFU, nearly 30,000 students, and 31% of those are international. Langara with 13,000 students and so forth. UBC was the one seeing a minor drop in the number of domestic students, but an increase in international students by almost 3%, meaning they will most likely be renting in our city. And it seems like the numbers keep increasing, every month.
Oh, that's impressive. So now that we know that there are lots of renters in Vancouver and most of them are students, or a good number of them are students, what do you think are the biggest struggles for students facing the rental market in Vancouver?
Well, I find that that's kind of like the million-dollar question, and everybody's talking about this right now. So the main two issues are definitely affordability, along with the lack of inventory, of course, and rental scams. So in an interview for the Canadian Real Estate Wealth last year, I discussed the factors involved in students struggling to find rental housing, especially close to UBC. It is unsurprising that every vacant unit near campus receives dozens of applications. Moreover, desperate international students have resorted to paying landlords rent prices that are well above asking. So if a landlord is asking 3,000, they will be likely offering 3,500 or even 4,000. Consider UBC has about 70,000 students, as I previously mentioned. Renters tend to pay a premium for student housing. So we do see on liv.rent that properties close to UBC can easily get over 100 inquiries, and that's just for one single listing. This is really concerning, of course, because many students are returning to campus this spring and they need to secure safe, affordable housing. And this actually leads to a second issue, which is, of course, rental scams. Since students are usually first-time renters and do not have experience with the rental process, they are most often the ones falling for common, rental scams out there, like fake listings and fake landlords. We have some numbers here from the Canadian Anti-Fraud Center that reported that in just 6 months, Canadians lost $1.4 million to rental scams. The median loss was about $400, but some people they lost, maybe $1,000 or even $2,000. Even more shockingly, the Better Business Bureau in BC recently discovered that 43% of renters browsing listings online do encounter fake ads, which is terrible. And of course, to combat this problem, liv.rent created strict multi-layer verification processes that ensure renters can find reliable properties and landlords with no risk of falling prey to costly and emotionally damaging rental scams. Our extensive ID verification processes give landlords the ability to verify their IDs and then give international students who might not know much about renting in Canada or the specifics of the city they're moving to the peace of mind they need, allowing them to be more confident that they are dealing with a real person and not a scammer.
When I first moved, I did fall for a scam. Apparently, he claimed that he was out of the country and that I should send all my details to him, that he would show me the room, that he would keep the keys in a Dropbox somewhere and I'll get the keys from the Dropbox once I've given him.
Yep.
It didn't happen, but yeah, I do know
That is
a
the
thing or
most
two.
common one. Like, I'm out of the country, you can get the keys, just give me the deposit. And then, especially if you think about rental prices that are now almost close to $3,000 for a one-bedroom apartment in downtown Vancouver. If you think about the security deposit for that, it's $1,500. So renters could be losing $1,500 just like that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really sad, but I'm happy that liv.rent is there to help us. So could you walk me through the rental process? What is it like?
Yeah, another great question. So, our first piece of advice to especially people who are coming from overseas is to stay emotionally resilient throughout the rental process. And the reason is because, finding a place can be really challenging, and international renters need to be mentally prepared for it. In addition, tenants must ensure that they are browsing verified listings from verified landlords. And again, liv.rent is the only platform in Canada that offers a complete multi-layer verification process. And we do manually verify users' ID and the property documents as well to ensure that our tenants are really safe. And renters should be also prepared to include various supporting documents along with their application. And that includes bank statements, sponsored letters, student loans if they have. It is very important to have a comprehensive summary of tenants' finances before they can actually start sending messages to landlords.
Oh, that seems like a lot of documents. Is there a nice way to like get a screenshot of everything down? Do you have that in on your site?
Yeah, absolutely. With liv.rent, it's so much easier because renters would basically fill out their profile just once, and then they can apply to as many listings as they want to. And then since they don't have credit history in the country, there's also an option for them to let landlords know that I don't have credit history, I'm new to Canada, and these are my documents. And they can upload, submit income documents, employment documents if they have a job offer letter, for example. And once that profile is completed, they just click one button and they send the applications to the landlords, and they will receive their summary, their documents, and everything about them, which is really nice.
Oh, that's nice. I don't want to speak for other students, but for me, I have a really small budget, right? So what would you suggest to help me find a good rental place and that I can afford?
The answer will be shared accommodations. They are one of the most popular living arrangements in town, particularly when it comes to students. There's a new trend now, which is called co-living, which is basically, you're sharing the common areas of your home or even your bedroom with other renters. But in Vancouver, this actually gives you the opportunity to rent rooms that can range from $900 to $1,800. And there are quite a few companies providing these types of rentals here. And yeah, it's really nice. It's a good opportunity for you to grab something that is somewhat affordable. Yeah.
That's really nice. But like, how do I know if I'm living with the right people or they're I don't know how to explain, they're good people, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and that's a great question. So some of these companies, they do also provide renters and whoever is living there with very in-depth application processes, and they do some background checks as well. Sometimes they have Zoom interviews to actually, combine and coordinate with the current tenants to see if they're a good fit. They ask some screening questions to understand a little bit more about your lifestyle. So it's really a good way for you to actually, get to know your roommates, whoever's living in that house, and see if you're actually a good fit.
Okay, that sounds great. Because I was a bit scared of it before, but now you just made it better in my head. Thank you. So which neighborhoods do you think would be good for me as a student?
Well, students spend a lot of time, a lot of their precious time, I would say, commuting, and accessibility is really key. Most renters want to be close to public transit, either SkyTrain or bus stations. So, that being said, the areas immediately surrounding UBC, SFU, and Ligera are also extremely popular. So, we're talking about Point Grey, Kitsilano, Barnaby Mountain, South Vancouver, and downtown, of course. But then we're seeing more and more students leaving the city centers and renting in other areas of the lower mainland, like Surrey, as well as into the Fraser Valley region in cities like Langley, just because these areas are quite affordable and the rental prices are, somewhat affordable as compared to downtown, etc. And they're so close to transit.
Well, if you're living in SFU, or sorry, if you have a school like SFU or UCW, I think GEC is the best fit for you because for SFU we have GEC Burnaby Heights, and then for for UCW we have GEC Viva, which is located downtown. And one of my favorite places is Marion Gateway. So, and we also have a GEC residence in Marion Gateway. So, Paula, tell me, what's your favorite neighborhood?
Well, I am a huge fan of Marine Drive as well, just because of the convenience. Like you can literally be in downtown Vancouver in like 20 minutes. You can get to the airport fairly quickly as well, because we all know students love traveling as well. And to be honest, like you have everything there. You have the SkyTrain, you have conveniences, you have lots of restaurants, parks. So you can have everything in just one place. Downtown is, of course, an amazing place to be as well. Like you're mentioning, if you're going to UCW, it can be at Viva, GEC, and then you have everything there as well. But I still feel like downtown, there's a little bit too much buzz around it. So I still prefer Marine Drive just because there was a mix between, city center and more parks. And I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah. As
Like
we
I
all
think
know, like, oh,
sorry. I think like downtown is more of like a busy nightlife kind of place,
mhm.
while Marine Drive
Yeah.
is more like we can do a lot of things at a time. We do not have to go to the club. That's how I feel.
Exactly.
Yeah. And yeah, as we all know, like most of the students, especially international students, are their first time renters, right? So,
Yeah.
what should students need to understand about the RTA, the rental tenancy agreement?
Good question. And a lot of students coming from international, they don't really understand what the RTA is, and it's really key. So understanding your rights as a tenant is really, important to a successful tenancy. So if you're ever in doubt, again, ask the landlord to clarify addendums, clauses in the lease that might be unfamiliar, and maybe all of them will be unfamiliar. So asking questions is really important. I always tell renters that most lease agreements will have a clause called liquidated damages. A lot of people don't know about that, but it basically states the amount that you will have to pay as a fee in case you choose to break the lease. So a lot of students don't know about that and get surprised when they have to pay one entire month as a penalty if they want to move out earlier. And knowing, the rules and regulations when it comes to deposit structures is also very crucial. We see all types of additional fees being illegally charged, like application fees, fees, furniture fees. In BC, for instance, landlords are only allowed to request half-month rent for security deposit and half-month rent as a pad deposit if applicable, along with strata fees, of course, for moving in and out, but nothing else. So this is really important.
Oh, I heard this. So basically, I don't know whether this is true or this is just like rumors or a trend going around, but I heard that your lease, your deposit that you're paying, it's supposed to give you interest back when you're leaving the accommodation. Is that true?
Yes, it is now a new regulation. This was actually present in BC a very long time ago, and then the government has paused it, but now it is back, and it's mainly pushed by inflation and the high living costs. So now, once you do have, let's say you have 2,000 as security deposit, once you actually receive the deposit back, you need to receive those $2,000 plus any interest that the landlord may need to give you. Yeah, that's right.
Nice.
And I heard that like, 'cause like after 1 year when you're living at that place, the landlord can legally like increase the rate, the rental rate, right? Is there like any percentage or like amount that for the landlord can increase?
Yeah, good question. So there are two options here. So let's say the landlord has a fixed tenancy with you. Um, your landlord will not be able to increase that amount unless based on the the allowable rent increase as per provinces. So in BC, for instance, for this year, the only percentage that landlords will be able to increase is only 2%. And that's for a fixed term lease. But then if you leave and the landlord is actually now able to find a new renter, they can increase the amount as much as they like. So let's say they were charging a renter $1,500, that tenant left. Now the landlord can increase it and do 2,500 instead.
I
That's
see.
nice. That's that's comforting to know that they
Yeah.
can just like increase it on you. So what should students be aware of if they are using rental platforms other than live rent, sorry.
Well, the main factor here will be, knowing the average pricing for the neighborhood you're looking at and knowing whether the listing and the landlord have been verified. If renting in Vancouver, it's really important to stay up to date on the latest average rental prices and trends. Our Live Rent monthly rent reports are the perfect source for that. So they are available as free resources on our Live Rent blog, and they basically give you a better idea of what you can expect to pay for each type of rental, including a price breakdown per neighborhood. This also significantly lowers your chances of falling for rental scams, because many listings are just too good to be true. So if you know the average rent, you will be able to tell. And then this is also where, again, liv.rent verification processes come in handy, because students can know if landlords and properties are verified, and they are far less likely to fall for scammers than they would be on other platforms like Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace.
So do you think that there's anything else that I should know about, or other students should know about moving in or signing into a rental? What should be aware of? Do you have anything else to add, basically?
Well, I feel like deposits is a big deal. So losing money to scammers can be so frustrating. So, knowing your rights and making sure you're searching for rentals on a trusted platform like liv.rent is really important. Never send cash deposits before you've done your due diligence and are confident you're dealing with a real person and a real property that, again, have been verified. That means going for a showing or scheduling a virtual showing, sending application and documents, signing the lease agreement, and even asking questions to get to know your landlord. These are the important steps that you need to go through before sending a deposit, right? So the deposit tends to be only the last step. And although it is, yes, important and mandatory, you do need to be super confident with your choice and the company and the landlord you're renting from. So yeah, that would be my last step for sure.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much for
Thank
having
you.
time with us to talk about rental platforms and renting in Vancouver. Again, my name is Choma, and with me here is Lawrence, and we have the wonderful Paula here to teach us about renting and liv.rent. If you have any questions, please leave it in the comments below. Thank you so much for having us. Bye.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye.